3, 2, 1. Oh, you don't fire. Yeah, you're... 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, students, and welcome to Back Talk. This is episode 107 of the official Los Monados College Experience podcast. I'm Robert Pierce. I'm the campus editor and social media editor for the paper, and I'm joined here today by
Marc Lopez, staff writer.
And I'm Anthony Martinez. I'm photo editor at the LMC Experience.
And I think our first big story for the last issue of the paper came out Friday, October 19th, and the big front page story for it was the fire evacuation. So what this was, I got a text message the morning of. I don't know, did you guys?
For me, I got the text, but I had saw it on the KTVU News Twitter.
Uh-huh.
And it was a breaking news saying that, Pittsburgh Bay Point fire forced evacuations.
So what this was is that it was a grass fire out in Bay Point that was very close to a natural gas line to the point where there were concerns that it might explode. So they evacuated a bunch of people just in case. And one of the evacuation zones was the Los Monados College gym. It was turned into a shelter for about 85 people. And the reason because according to Bob Crowderville, president of LMC actually has an agreement with Red Cross to set up shelters in situations like this. So there were unfortunately a couple classes canceled, but yeah, the gym was housing 85 people for pretty much the duration of up until Thursday, Friday, I believe.
So I was here, I got here like really early in the morning.
It was still holding people at press time, which is Thursday evening.
I was impressed because I had no idea what was going on at first. I saw like a lot of news vans parked outside. That's basically how I found out about it. Then later I got the text message. Competition. Then I got the text message later on. I thought it was I thought it was crazy when I actually heard what was happening about the whole gas line thing. I was like, could that really be like San Bruno all over again?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Does it have that potential?
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
When I first got the text message, I had just woken up, and I don't know about you guys, I'm kind of delirious when I've just woken up, so I just saw a text message with like gas fire canceled, and I was like, what happened?
What happened overnight?
It was like, literally, turn off my alarm. Oh, gas fires.
Well, you have to realize, that's the thing. LMC, that's probably why they did it in the gym, because it's just basically one giant concrete building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either, the way I see it is LMC is either the most safest place in the East Bay, or it's the most dangerous.
There's no middle.
There's no middle. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I just immediately thought that LMC is big enough to where it can host like a Red Cross. So if the Red Cross really needed a place, they could go straight to LMC.
Yeah, I remember they usually do I think it's the academic competition in those gyms, so they can fit a ton of.
They could do a lot of people in there.
Yeah, and also like games, of course, basketball games. Of course.
So they ended up evacuating a lot of people at like the middle of the night, right? Or how did it play out?
It was about 85 people, and they basically just had them in there with, I think they had a couple of provisions for them, and they were there all day, more or less, until they were finally able to determine that there was not a threat and that it wasn't going to blow up.
Yeah, I saw like families with little kids and just people walking their dogs and all that stuff around the gym area.
Yeah, and people were displaced, so it was definitely kind of an intense situation where some people had to leave some articles behind. They were worried about if their homes were going to be there when they got back. So it's definitely a heavy situation, but obviously no one got hurt by any explosions. But yeah, the actual cause of the fire itself was a brush fire. It was a grass fire. It was not the gas plant itself that caught on fire. It was just in the risk of something happening if the fire spread a little bit too quickly. The next top front page story that we want to talk about is Coming Out Day. Hillary Hetrick did a write-up on this, and so Coming Out Day is just this annual event put on by LGBTQ organizations, communities, school groups, clubs, in which it's basically an opportunity for people who are gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender, etc., to come out and just announce that they are now. Because obviously the closet is a whole phenomenon with that community. So Coming Out Day is just this one concentrated event where people can go and come out. And at LMC, it also featured, there were teachers and staff there who were openly gay, who were willing to discuss their stories and hear student stories. So, yeah, and like I said, Hillary Hetrick did a write-up on it, and so it was a very nice event that we had happen.
And you did mention the day, but it's every October 11th, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
It was also the event that inspired that retrospective we did of LGBTQ issues in the paper that we talked about last week on the podcast. That was somewhat inspired, somewhat tied in with Coming Out Day, because it's just this annual thing where everyone has LGBTQ issues on their mind, so it was the good time to do a retrospective like that.
Right.
And another story from the front page, the last one we're going to talk about on the podcast today, is the Stop Suicide Walk that was out in Oakley. And now, Mark, you attended this, right?
And I wrote the story for it, yes.
And you wrote the story for it, and you also got some video, which I'm going to play right now. And so, could you tell us a little bit more about the event?
Well, first of all, I need to go off on the record saying that I have been affected by suicide. I lost my cousin back in 2015 to suicide. We do my best to honor him, and that's what really felt like the event was. It was to honor your loved ones, make sure, or if you yourself have been suicidal thoughts, and you know, there was resources there. It wasn't a lot of resources. I thought it would have been like a big, like more fair. There was only like probably like 6 booths overall.
Well, that's still like a decent.
It's a decent amount, but I would, for how big the park was, I would expect at least a decent, bigger, decent fair. Especially with going into its 5th year, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, it was still a great event for people who have been affected by suicide to come out and really just communicate with one another, comfort one another, and just have a platform to really just talk about suicide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the walk is also a charity fundraising event for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. That's what it is.
Okay, yeah.
And the first photo for the story, it's Team Xavier, who's led by Rich Rodriguez, and his team ultimately raised $7,080.
Mm-hmm.
And LMC's own Kelly Williams, she was a part of the second place team,
mm-hmm.
and they raised over like, I think it was 36,000. And you know, it's a good cause. I think suicide's becoming more of a
something that more people talk. It's a little bit more visible.
It's more visible. It's more out there, especially with the age of social media. It's only fitting that this story got published, because people need to speak out. And
before it becomes
to a point where you can't speak out anymore. And you know, we just gotta do our best to find the signs, and comfort one another. Inside the story, I also mentioned that the chapter board, Vanessa Perry, it was her final time running the event, and that Heather Estes and Tara Jean Robinson are gonna be taking the lead for the chapter now. As of next year, for next year's event, they'll be the lead. The walk itself was it was a 5-mile walk. So they did. I didn't partake in the walk personally. I waited.
You were there covering it.
I was waiting for everyone to come back so I could really just get my interviews out of the way, and then look around the resource booths.
I feel like it's a great thing that, you know, small communities have actually put so much importance to this subject. You know what I mean? It's definitely something more talked about nowadays, and I feel like just personally from the past 5 years, I've seen how much of an issue depression, suicide, or suicidal thoughts, how serious that really is. You know what I mean? I think it's great that these communities, like even the small communities, that's how I believe that we're going places, because this type of stuff wasn't always talked about. You know, in different even ethnic groups, time. You know, everything has everything is contributing to this. You know, like where you're from, who your parents are. All this stuff, it contributes, and I think it's great now that we're having more of these outreach programs, or more of these, awareness. Definitely goes a long way, I think.
It does.
Sort of throwing a rope.
There was 5 other walks occurring at the same time as the Oakley walk throughout the Bay Area, and one of my friends that goes to Chico, she was also a part of that event because she had posted on social media. So it was nice to see.
It's kind of a statewide thing.
It's actually a nationwide thing.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's
makes sense.
But yeah, there was 5 others going on at the same time, and then there's a follow-up event the Saturday before Thanksgiving. That it's another charity event, but it's not a walk. It's more like a fair, I guess, from what I remember. But yeah.
But proceeds would go to.
Proceeds would be going towards the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Yeah.
Getting people help.
Yep.
Moving on to campus, the big front story for that, the big top story rather, Nick Campbell covered the Impact Leadership Conference. And so what this is that this is something that LMCAS puts on this conference in which it's kind of, you have to sign up for it, and it's to get LMC students together and to teach them some essential leadership skills for their careers. And they have speakers. They had one guy that was doing spoken word poetry.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he was like a Canadian sort of DJ performer, and they had him there doing spoken word poetry, and then just the rest of the event was learning about some leadership skills.
I think that's great. Yeah, I remember leadership basically in middle school and high school for me was always like, they were always there, those classes or those programs. And I never, walking into community college, I never saw any sort of, I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think now that they're making these organizations or events where you learn leadership skills, I think it's really important.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like it's just for LMCAS senators either. It's just for any student who's interested who goes out the way to sign up. They teach you some of those critical communication and planning skills that you need to lead or school organizations, lead in your career field, anything like that.
Yeah.
The next story on campus was the Shell Energize Your Destiny event, which we had covered by Elizabeth McLaurin. And so this is the second year that they've come to LMC. What this is that Shell Oil puts this on, and it's basically a job fair. It's aimed specifically at women, and it's just exploring options to sort of enter that energy industry.
So I went there to the event to photograph it, and it was really interesting. I think just the fact that they're actually reaching towards getting more female employees. They're pushing more towards that, more diversity in the workforce. I think is great, and especially because it's Shell Martinez, so it's the Bay Area. It's really close. I think it was interesting. I think they had some really strong women there. I think that they definitely presented their students options. Like, you don't have to go the 4 years of college. You don't have to get a bachelor's. You don't have to get a master's. There are other options available, and I think that
the
they
2-year technical certificate program. Yeah. LMC kind of specializes in that, from what I've heard. It's not like we're the only one in the area, but we just do it very well here.
Yeah, I saw the promotion for it in one of the the transfer center newsletters or the school newsletters, and I had actually sparked some interest. If I actually knew any friends that were really going into that type of field, I was immediately told them, like, yo, this is happening. I think that's a really great event, and plus it's hard to find jobs out here in the Bay Area nowadays, and Shell's a really good company.
Anytime you have a job fair on campus, it's going to be instant praise.
Oh, yeah.
College students need jobs.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just college students either. I saw high school students, college students. I saw this husband and wife who are actually, they have, I believe, like 5 kids, they said. And they're just trying to get a job where they can work together, be local, and just thrive.
And features page. So Harry Continente, he did the next step of his Oktoberfest tour. He did Del Cielo Brewery out in Martinez. We talked a little bit about this on the last episode. Had a full review for that. And next week is the final stop in his tour, which is Epidemic Brewery. And so that's going to be the end of his Oktoberfest series next week.
Where's that at? Epidemic?
I'm not sure. Put it on screen, dolphin noises, but I'm honestly not sure off the top of my head. Also on campus page, features page, Brianna Crawford did a nice little column analyzing Me Too movement and kind of its history and how it's progressed and how it started.
Yeah, it's been a year since Me Too, right?
If not
it's
longer.
actually been longer, yeah.
It's been, the official campaign after Harvey Weinstein, I think it's been over a year since the news broke about that.
I think, the Weinstein thing, that was like a year ago maybe, but like apparently Me Too has been, it's been around for a little bit longer than that. It was just really highlighted or emphasized at that time with Weinstein and Cosby and all that stuff. It's very interesting to see how far it's gone. It's just like almost like the suicide outreach thing is just the fact that we're having conversations about it makes me just even more optimistic about the future.
Conversations that we just flat out would not have had even like 5 years ago.
We need to talk to one another. That's the only way you can really progress in communities. You have to talk with one another and about issues that are hard to talk about. That's why I think.
We got to push that envelope.
So 100%.
Exactly.
In other news.
For the sports page, so Lily Montero had an article interviewing Carissa Day, who is an LMC student, soccer player, and mother. So Lily...
Also a photographer. She's a photographer.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's why those pictures are so nice.
Oh, yeah, she submitted her own photographs for the story. I forgot about that. But yeah, no, it was a great story, and it's just talking about how she manages to juggle all those disparate elements of her life. And also on Sports Page, we had coverage of a bunch of games, including this soccer game that we got Jesus Cano to do a video interview for with Coach Zach Sullivan. So we're going to play that on screen now.
Yeah, it's a little weird to say this because you guys have outscored opponents a lot, but when it comes to opponents like, today, Solano, Napa Valley, you guys have had plenty of shots on goal, but only, you get 1 or 2 goals out of that, luckily with the victory. But what's been the problem with there so far?
I think it's a lot of things. We hit a lot of posts lately, which is just unlucky, and then we just had a lot of, I don't think in the preseason we had a lot of chances right up in front of the goal, so they're just getting experience, and so I think in the second half, when we play everyone again, it'll come back and help us out.
Yeah, and you guys took down the reigning Bay Valley Conference champion Solano. Did that give you guys a lot of momentum heading into this afternoon's match?
Yeah, and I think we really outplayed them. And they had some chances, but it could have been, I think it could have been 2 or 3-0, but definitely, it was almost, we were worried about going into this game as we overlooked them a little bit. In the first 10 minutes, they came out hard. And I think we kind of realized that we were the better team and took over from there.
Do you think that the delay of the game, with the referees not showing up, kind of affected that a little bit at the beginning?
I think so, and I just think we started to get a little overconfident and we keep talking about it, but the win over Solano, if we lose the game, it kind of takes that win away.
So what's been the biggest improvement so far? Obviously, we talked about this a lot, mostly about the self-confidence play. What's been the whole difference between, from the LMC, from the LMC women's soccer team, the first, 4 or 5 games to the LMC women's soccer team right now?
We're getting experience. The only problem with our program is we're not like all these schools where they train all summer. So we kind of come together late, and so we kind of get better throughout the season. And we're not super fit when we start, so we kind of peak in the middle of the season and just continue to get better. So it'd be nice if we had everyone through the summer, but unfortunately a lot of the girls have to left. So it's kind of the same thing as last year. We peaked midway into the end of the season.
Did you ever expect this, when you first took over the program, you had maybe 10 to 11 players showing up to the games up to where it is right now?
I hoped, and that's kind of the only reason it's worth doing. So I worked really hard on recruiting. Actually, a lot of our recruits ended up elsewhere, but we still ended up with a lot of good players. And I think our depth has really helped us. There's a lot of kids that work super hard. They don't play in a lot of games. When they get their number called, they still contribute.
It's the the end of the first half of conference play. How were you guys prepared heading into the second half? How did you guys see every single team play?
I think knowing that now it's hard to play when you're in first place, which is this program's not really used to. So just knowing that you're going to get everyone's best shot and keeping in rhythm, and then just knowing keep everyone healthy and just staying in rhythm and realizing the game today we could have almost gave up a goal at the beginning. That could have changed the whole game. So being ready to play every minute.
And Riley Pearson, 550 minutes without a long goal, equivalent to 2 Black Panther movies.
Yeah.
How special has she been for you guys so far?
She's been really good, and it's almost harder for a keeper. In the preseason, she had a lot of games where she made a ton of saves. It's harder when you only have to make 1 or 2 and just staying ready. And that's what she's really good at, is if you don't touch the ball for 30 minutes and then you have to make a big save, it's really tough. But she stays really engaged and keeps the defense organized.
Talk about defensively, what went well. Close matchup, 1-0. They didn't allow that many shots on goal, if I'm correct.
I just think our back four, they're finally getting to play a lot of games together. And so just keeping them organized and those 4 playing together and getting game experience. And they really play well together as a unit. And so, which comes a long way, just because your back 4 knowing each other is really important.
You told me a couple weeks ago that Kaylee Lewis was a player that wasn't playing a lot for whatever reason. And now she's playing, I think, at the left back position. How much did she help you guys?
A lot, and she came in late. I actually found her in the soccer class. And I know her from coaching at DFC. She's on one of our teams there. And she kind of came in late, but she worked so hard. We've actually missed her in most Friday games. She's not available. So it's nice when she can come contribute the games she can come play. But I think on the defense too, the one we don't talk about is Miramar, who plays right back. And she's one of those kids you don't really talk about because you don't notice her because she does her job so well.
So, some big stories coming out next issue. We got Dia de los Muertos coverage. Perry Conne went out to a Dia de los Muertos event in Oakland, so he's going to have a full write-up with photos on that.
Oh, wait. My dad used to volunteer for that event in Oakland.
Is it a specific one?
It was years ago though. I was like 6 years old, but I know it takes place in Oakland. But I remember my dad used to volunteer for that.
Some other big stories that we have coming out next week is that Dale Sater is going to do a story on how the debate team is sort of rebuilding itself. They lost a lot of key members in the transition this semester, and we know about that a lot at the newsroom. We had a lot of our top writers leave between last semester and this semester. And personally in my life, I know that I did cross country and track and field in high school, and this year that I left to come here, it was like our entire varsity team left. I remember checking in with some of the underclassmen, and they're like, yeah, we're in a rough spot.
Can't relate. By the time I left high school, the team was a championship team. we were there at the bottom of the rut.
But yeah, anytime you have a team or organization, whatever type it is, even like job, like coworker bands.
Skivellini's.
Yeah. Anytime you have a large exit of people at once, it's always a challenge to rebuild, and the debate team's kind of going through that. And like we said, so Dale Sater's going to sit down and talk with them and see how they're doing that. The other big story coming out in print is actually one that I did, so unfortunately it's self-plug time. There was a rally this Saturday out in Pittsburgh. It was a rally against police brutality. It was put on by the Oscar Grant Committee and the Anti-Police Terror Project. It was done at Nations off Railroad Avenue. It was around 2 to 4. And it was also in memory of Terry Ammons Jr., who was shot and killed in his car by police in that parking lot in January. So it was his mother, Sandra Talbert, and then a couple different members and associates from the other groups that I named. Two of the chief organizers were Gerald Smith and Brother Kingdom, and they were out there from 2 to 4, and it was they were picketing. They had a bunch of different speakers. They marched around the restaurant. And we're gonna have a full story on that in this week's print issue, this Friday's print issue. But I also have a video package of some of the speeches that they were saying. So we're gonna play that now.
Justice for Terry! Justice for Terry! Justice for Terry!
My nephew is Terry Amos. I'm Jerome Langston. I was really crushed when I heard that my nephew went to work, got off work, came over here to this restaurant, and was sitting in his car waiting for his food. And all of a sudden, 2 police officers approached my nephew while sitting in his car and shot him, killed him, right here in this parking lot, right where we stand.
We got to restore integrity in policing again. We got to stop them from pulling their gun every time. They need better training in dealing with these situations. Obviously, they got to safeguard their own life, but that does not mean taking someone else's life to do so.
Across the country, when these police killings go down, and they go down every day just about, there's been 2,000 people on average killed by the police every year in America. Good percentage of them are unarmed, okay? So this is going on far too often. Like I said before, we need cops that serve and protect, not control and patrol or use and abuse. And we get too much of that. And without struggle, we get no justice. So that's why we're out here today.
Okay? So we've got a job. We've got a task. I think we're going to succeed. What do you think?
Yes.
Because it's no fun. Not at all. You got to stay strong. I got to stay prayed up. I cry still. I miss him a lot. But I want justice for Terry. So that's what I want. Justice for Terry. Justice for Terry.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Now.
The people united will never be defeated.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be.
And another big story that is going to be out this Friday is that we're going to have something for the Fall Festival. And that is this Friday, 10/26, starting at 6 p.m. across the entire college complex. There's a haunted house. There's booths where they're going to be selling candy and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of the proceeds benefit clubs because they're the ones putting on those booths and putting on those haunted houses. So show up. There's no entry fee, but show up with some cash because the booths they sell stuff for money. The haunted house is a $1 entry fee. So that's going to be a lot of fun. LMC does this Halloween event. I don't know if it's every year, but it's been almost every year since it's been every year since I've gotten here.
And that's all that matters.
Has been.
I didn't hear about it last year at all.
There was one last year. I say it's been every year. I've been at this campus for 2 calendar years, so it's been at least 2 years. I don't know how much farther it goes back than that.
One calendar year for me, yes.
But yeah, so the Fall Festival this Friday, 10/26 at 6 p.m. Bring some cash. And that's all we have for this week. So until next time, I'm Robert Pierce.
I'm Marc Lopez.
And I'm Anthony Martinez.
And this has been Back Talk. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.